Hello everybody and welcome to the closure construction hand stitching loop method video. So in this video I am going to be showing you guys how to make a closure wig from start to finish. If you follow me on Instagram, you have been provided a materials list. If you don't have it, here it is so you can get all the materials you need. So let's get started. We're going to start with bleaching our knots first. Bleaching knots is almost mandatory when you want a realistic looking closure wig, frontal wig, or whatever you're making. So when I'm creating one wig, I typically use like 1.5 scoops of bleach, and I basically measure my developer by capfuls. So basically, instead of pouring it, so I can get the right thick consistency, I pour it in the cap and I go from there. So that way, if I need to add more, I can, so I don't just pour it directly in the bowl and then I had too much, so now I got to add more powder and I'm wasting product because I did not need that much product. So I do recommend this method whether you're a beginner, advanced, or whatever the case is. This really helps you control your product and you're not using too much. So you just want a thick, pasty consistency, not runny and not too thick where it will roll all over the lace. Okay, so that consistency is perfect. So you want to make sure yours resemble that. I am going to be using a 5x5 closure. This is my sheer lace closure. Basically, it's very thin lace and it's very natural looking. Whatever lace you have, you can use. Now, one method that I do with my closures, my lace, is basically I apply the bleach mixture from the back to the front. And the reason I do this is because if you notice on lace, basically the knots are always a little thicker in the back and they're thinner in the front. So this way you're processing the back first, since those knots are a little thicker, and then you'll start at the front so you don't over bleach that part, or that part gets ready first and the back is really not done. I always start from the back and then I work my way to the front. Okay, so now you want to use like a paper bag, foil, saran wrap, anything like that, and place across your table. And you're going to basically flip your lace piece over. Now when you're flipping it over, this is very important because if you keep it on the opposite side, you're going to most likely get bleach on the roots of the hair, and you only want it on the knots. So you're going to flip this over and ensure that there's no hairs laying flat down against the bleach. This is one reason why you may get bleached roots, because the hair is laying against the bleach and it's going to process anything that it touches. The bleach is going to process anything that it touches. So you just want to make sure you're pulling those hairs away from laying against the knots in the lace. And you're just going to rinse it. And as you guys can see, the sheer lace is absolutely amazing. It's so thin and I just absolutely love it. So you're going to rinse all of the bleach off of your lace, and then you're going to go in with your purple shampoo. Now there's many purple shampoos on the market. I will say Shimmer Lights it's a little on the expensive side, and it is very concentrated, more concentrated than a lot of the other ones. So you don't have to use Shimmer Lights. There's some in Sally's. Ion has a really good one. The generic brand from Sally's, it's called Generics, and it's like a dupe to the Shimmer Lights. So you can use that instead of Shimmer Lights, or you can use Shimmer Lights. It doesn't matter. So you're just going to apply that. And what I do, I don't like to just rub it through onto the lace and then rinse it. I like to basically saturate it on there and let it sit a little while so that it can properly tone the knots. My mental just feels like if I just rush and rub it on and rinse it out, that it's not going to basically take away the yellow and the orange brassiness the way that I would like it to. So I like to just ensure it's completely coated on the back of the lace and then sit it there for a little while and then rinse it out. Okay, so as you guys can see, it looks absolutely perfect. After you rinse your Shimmer Lights or whatever brand you're going to be using, you want to just shampoo it out with your regular shampoo and then condition it and let it dry. And then we'll be ready to start our construction. So in this video, I am using a mesh dome cap. If you use the adjustable wig caps, if you use the spandex dome caps, it doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with. And as you guys can see, my canvas block is very, very dirty. I use it all the time. So yeah, anyways, you are going to line up your dome cap, your wig cap, whichever one you're using, with the canvas block. Now, if you're making a wig for yourself, if you're making it for someone else, you will already know the measurements and you would know which canvas block you need to be using. I'm doing a giveaway with this wig, so I'm using a standard 22-inch circumference. I'm not doing exact measurements because I don't know who it's going to be for. So I'm just doing a standard where this size basically fits most heads and it's stretchable to most heads. So I'm using the 22 standard canvas block. So once you align that, now with closure wigs, especially if you're just hand stitching, you could stitch your closure first. I don't want to get into sewing machine stitching or whatever the case may be, but that's when things get a little difficult. Where do you put your closure on first or not? But for hand stitching, you can go ahead and stitch your closure on first. Now, in this video, I am doing a deep side part. So you're going to see me place mine on the side. If you're doing a regular, you would just place it this way in the center of the canvas block. But I am going to be doing a side part. And right here, you guys are going to see later that I actually switched it to the other side. So one thing that's good about the dome caps is you can basically slide it from one side to the other because the circumference of the band on the dome cap is pretty much the same all around. So anyways, you're just going to pin, you're going to get your T-pins and you're just going to pin your lace closure in place and you are going to start stitching, basically stitching it. So the reason that I call my method the loop method, because you're literally creating loops and putting the needle through those loops. And they're basically long loops, basically. And you just stitch really close together, especially when you're stitching your lace pieces. Stitch really close together, create a loop, pull the needle through the loop, and that's pretty much it. And you just keep going. It's very easy to learn, and it's a very repetitive thing throughout the construction of your closure wig, lace frontal, whatever wig you're making. So as you guys can see, I'm going to make the loop. I'm going to put my thread inside of it, and I'm going to pull. And you've created a loop and a tight stitch, basically. And you just keep going, making sure it's close together, especially for your lace. And that's pretty much it. So some people don't understand how to create a wig hand stitching or stitch their lace pieces. It's very easy, and I feel like this method is very easy, and it gives you a very, very sturdy foundation for your wig. So that's pretty much it. I don't want this video to be long for the closure stitching or the weft stitching. So I am going to do the back and one side, and then I'll speed up the other side because it's very, very repetitive, and I don't want to bore you guys. So just keep watching, and I'll fast forward it a little bit, and then I'll speed it up a little bit, and then I'll come back to share more information with you guys. now we're going to be making our outlines. I am going to be using a metallic marker. So basically you want to start at the very bottom, drawing a line, and then right above the band. You don't want to stitch in between here because you're going to make your cap shrink. So just make a line right at the end and then above the band itself, and then you will create lines based on how many bundles you have. Now, I will be using 4 bundles in this video because I wanted the style with a lot of volume. You don't have to use that many bundles at all. It's not necessary. Depending on the length you're going with, like 12 inches to 14 inches, you really only need 2 bundles, and any lengths longer, you need 3 to 4. So you just draw your lines based on that. And also remembering that these lines are only guidelines to have your wefts going across the cap neatly and not basically uneven from row to row. So you can stitch in between these lines, just not in between on the band area, but above the band area. You could stitch in between if you need more lines and you didn't draw enough, whatever the case may be. These are only guidelines to make your wefts straight. And your lines don't have to be perfect. I don't make perfect lines. Like I always tell my students, my lines suck. But my stitching is very neat and it's always good. They're even and everything like that. But you want to get them as straight as you possibly can, but don't beat yourself up if they're not straight. As long as they're not like zigzags and very high, low, you're fine. So you're just going to draw your lines up until you meet your lace piece, and then you'll be ready to start stitching the wefts onto your cap. Okay, so like I said, I'll be using 4 bundles, but you guys can use 2, you can use 3. You don't need 4. You don't even need 3 if you're doing a 12 to 14 inch look. But again, you can use 3 to 4 depending on what lengths you are going to be using. So let's just start stitching. I am going to be using the double stitching method, and this basically means that I'm going to be using 2 wefts put together at the same time and stitching it on one row. So if you guys want to single stitch, you can, but double stitching is very It helps with time. If you're using a lot of bundles, it ensures that you can use all those bundles you're trying to use. So I do like double stitching, and as you guys can see, you just have two wefts on top of each other and you will start stitching. Now what I do here, I like to pin a few inches away from where I'm going to start, and that helps me keep the bundle in place so I don't have to worry about trying to hold it or it falling or it's not really working with me. So I always just T-pin a few inches away from where I'm starting to just hold the weft in place, and it makes it so easy. Sorry about that, you guys. I was shaking the camera on the ring light because I hit it by accident, but we are just going to start stitching. What I do here, I do stitch through the wefts at the end, and this basically locks it in place. You don't have to be against stitching through wefts. Nothing's going to happen. So just in the beginning of the weft, you are going to stitch through, and then what I like to do is come over to the front of the weft and stitch it. And that basically locks in that weft at the front very, very tightly. So I'll do that a few times, and then I'll just start with my loop method. Now it's the exact same thing here as we did with the closure. You are just stitching close together. You don't have to stitch as close together. The wefts are not going to go anywhere. Long as you're doing the loop method and ensuring it's sturdy, you can skip. You don't have to do it as close as a closure. The reason you do it very close with lace pieces because you don't want it to bulge on you, but you don't have to be that close for wefts. So again, it's the loop method is very repetitive. Gonna probably show you guys like 1 to 3 rows, and then I'm going to speed it up, and I'll come back when we're at the top. So if you guys have any questions about the loop method or you don't understand with the parts that are slowed down, just let me know and I'll try to go over it with you guys one-on-one, or you can message me, you can leave a comment, whatever the case may be. I know I say that so much, whatever the case may be. Oh my gosh, I hate that. I'm starting to notice. When my sister told me, you're always saying whatever the case may be. Oh, I hate saying that now. But the loop method, it's very repetitive. And like I said, if you guys need further assistance, just let me know. I'm probably going to do 1 to 3 rows, like I said, slow down. And then I'm going to speed it up and wait till we get to the top so I can show you guys how to completely close off the stitching of the wefts to the closure. Now, if you are the stitcher that does not like to cut wefts when you're hand sewing, I'm going to show you guys how to make the fold over method very flat. So what you're going to basically do is pull it as much as you can, not too tight, just as much as you can. Pin an area like a few inches away, and then you're going to go through it from the front, and this is going to help you get a very flat edge to your if you're using the fold over method. This is what I used to do when I was a hand sewer, and the stitching was very, very flat. So if you didn't know this or you want to try this, try it and let me know what you think, because it gets the wefts very, very flat. Once you go through the side like once or twice, 3 times, then you could start stitching the regular up and down way, and that's pretty much it for that. And then just start your looping. Okay, so we are now at the top. So instead of doubling, I am going to single this last one so it can be super neat and super flat. You can still double yours as long as it's flat, but I just personally like to single the very last track, and you will be doing the loop method to do so. I will keep this part slow for you guys, and I'll be back when it's time to style. with construction and we're going to start styling. Before you start styling, you want to remove the cap area away from your lace so that way it can be more realistic. You don't want to leave that part on the cap. So you're just going to carefully cut that part out and then you'll get ready to style. Now you're just going to place the wig back onto the canvas block so you can style. Right here is when I realized, oh shoot, I don't want it on that side. I actually want it on the other side because when the hair falls, I wanted it to fall to the right. So I wanted the parting to be more on the opposite side. So I am going to slide it over. The great thing about it, I realized before I was cutting it because then I would have just had to keep it that way. So I basically just tilted it all the way to the side that I wanted it on, and I'm going to start prepping the lace. I'm going to lightly tweeze the hairline, nothing major, and then we'll start cutting and styling. So now I am going to press the parting area. I am going to be using Bio Silk. That's what's on my hand, and I just rub it through that area before I hot comb it. Now a hot comb is almost as mandatory as the bundles in the closure. You want to make sure you invest in a hot comb. It does not have to be the one you put into the little portable stove, but you want to get one that gets hot. It plugs up into a regular outlet and you just straighten it. It makes the best press on the parting and the hairline. You definitely want to invest in a hot comb. So here I'm just pressing the hairline and the parting out before I start to cut and style. is something very loose and with a lot of volume. So we are going to get rid of a lot of this hair at the ends. I'm not going to do too much layering in it, but we're definitely going to get rid of the ends to give it a blunt cut so that the waves could be nice and beachy like and really, really full. So you just want to, before cutting, make sure everything is combed in the areas. The back is to the back, the sides are to the side, and the front is laying how you want it to be curled basically. And then we are going to go in with a razor comb. Now you could use scissors throughout, but the razor comb takes away a lot of the hair and gives it some layering at the same time. So when I'm cutting, I like to divide the hair in sections. It's easier, and it ensures that you have an even cut throughout by working in sections, and that you're not taking too much off everywhere because you didn't work in sections. So I start from the back, and I use the small side of the razor, and I literally just razor downward to remove the hair. Now, how much you remove, how short, long you make it, depends on the style that you're going for. The style I'm going for, I want some layers in the back, soft layers in the back, but I also want it blunt in the back. So I'm just going to cut that way. I am going to go in with my scissors after razoring to make everything even. Okay, so now we are going to start curling. Before we do, you want to make sure you moisturize the hair before applying the heat. So I did run some BioSilk throughout the hair, and I'm going to be using the Chi heat protectant over the hair, the Iron Guard heat protectant over the hair, and then we are going to start curling. I am using a ion curling iron. I'm not using a flat iron. If you're new to styling and you're not really familiar with it, you definitely want to practice with a curling iron. It's much easier than a flat iron. I love using both, but for the sake of this video and me just enjoying using a curling iron anyway, I am using a curling iron. It is from Ion that I got it. I think I got it from, it was from Sally's. I don't know the inch, but you don't want a very small one, and it doesn't have to be too big. Now, with the way the hair is cut, it's going to give me loose curls because the ends of the hair are basically blunt cut, so it's not going to curl as a full curl. So you basically see what I'm talking about when we start the curling. Also, I want to mention that I am not going to be holding the curler to the hair for a long time because I don't want very tight curls. I want it loose. Now, depending on what style you're doing, you will hold the curls longer for a more tighter curl. But that was not the look for the video, so you guys will see that I'm not letting the curler stay on the hair long, but you will see that the wave is going to be very tight. Well, not tight, but it's not going anywhere basically, even though I didn't leave it on the hair for a long time because it's a very, very good curling iron. So just keep watching. as you guys can see, I'm not letting it cool into a rolled curl. I'm basically pulling out the curl and then allowing it to cool because I want it very loose. Now, if you're going for a tighter look, you don't have to do that part. But like I said, I wanted a loose look. So once I take the curler from the hair, I am separating it because I don't want tight curled hair. Okay guys, we are almost finished. Now I wanted to ensure I gave as many details as possible, so this video is a little over an hour, but if you've gotten this far, we are almost done. We have like 10 minutes left, so we're just going to do the top area. I did not want to fast forward that part so you guys could see how to lay the curls in the top of in the front of the hair, so just keep watching. I appreciate you guys for watching this video thus far, and I will be back with some final words. Okay, so one of the best secrets that a lot of people didn't know about until recently, I'm going to show you guys how I personally create height in the top of the hair and make it really, really polished and flowy and just beautiful. Basically, you're going to use your oil or your oil sheen. Of course, your curling iron. You're going to use a hair clip and hairspray. And that's just a small bottle of Sebastian's. I ran out of my big one, so I grabbed a small one. The shaper spray, it's hairspray. So you'll just spray it and comb it back and clip it. Let that cool. Style the last piece in the back that you have left, and that's it. Okay, and we are all finished. I'm just spraying some holding spray to hold those curls in place. I am going to be using my press stick. If you have not ordered my press stick and you need one, I will leave the information in the description. If you have a press stick of any kind, basically a wax stick, you'll go ahead and polish up your parting areas and any flyaways that you may have after you spray. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was detailed. Please like it, comment, make sure you subscribe for more videos. Leave comments and let me know what you guys thought of the video. Was it detailed? Did I go through things that you had questions about? If you have any questions, leave them below. Let someone else know about this video if you feel like they need it. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch the video. I was very glad to give a complete free course to you guys. And this wig will be available to someone special as a giveaway. I will have that information available on this channel and on Instagram, on the Instagram page very, very soon. So make sure you guys keep watching for that. And that's pretty much it. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. We're not going to pay attention to that. I had her a little slanted, so the one side looked a little longer, but we know that the cut is basically laid. I just sat it on a mannequin a little crooked, but that's fine. So, yeah, it's so pretty.